Have you ever wondered who has never had the opportunity to draft first overall in the NHL draft? While many teams have been graced with picking in this position multiple times, there are still 8 teams in the NHL still hoping to sit on the golden throne on draft day. Today, we are going to be looking at those 8 teams and judging whom would benefit the most from picking number 1 in the very near future. Before we dive in, make sure you guys hit that like button to spread the video around, and make sure to subscribe to help the channel grow, and turn on notifications so that you don't miss a new video. So who are those 8 teams that have never picked number 1 overall? Here they are: the Anaheim Ducks, the Carolina Hurricanes / Hartford Whalers, the Minnesota Wild, the Nashville Predators, the San Jose Sharks, the Vancouver Canucks, the Calgary Flames, and the Vegas Golden Knights. Now we have to decide between these teams who needs that number 1 pick the most. Let's first start off by eliminating some teams, and the easiest one for me is the Golden Knights. It's not often that an expansion team is immediately competitive right from the start, but Vegas put those stereotypes to bed right away, making it all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals in their inaugural season, the playoffs the following year, and if the season resumes this year as well. The other teams in the NHL made Vegas as good as they are because of the expansion draft, and they're being forced to make trades in order to keep some of their best players. The highest they have ever drafted was in 2017 at number 6 overall, but just look who they picked in that first round: Cody Glass, Nick Suzuki, and Erik Brannstrom. Granted, only one still remains on the Knights today. They have a great offense, 2 very good goaltenders, a solid defense, and still some B-level prospects in the system. They'll continue to be a competitive team this decade, so I don't think they need to select number 1 overall just yet. Next, I believe we can eliminate both the Calgary Flames and the Nashville Predators from this list as well. Both have been consistent top teams in the Western Conference for multiple years and seem to be set up fairly well for the future with a good mix of young and veteran type players like Johnny Gaudreau, Mike Giordano, Roman Josi, Pekka Rinne, and many more. The highest the Flames have ever picked has been number 4 3 separate times, with the most notable player being Sam Bennett in 2014, and Nashville's highest was picking at number 2 in 1998 when they selected David Legwand. So that leaves 5 remaining. I'm going to take the Vancouver Canucks off of this list as well. They are now finally out of the rebuild process and are poised to return to the playoffs with a solid young core of players, all of which they have established without picking number 1 overall. Bo Horvat, Brock Besser, Quinn Hughes, and of course Elias Pettersson. Jacob Markstrom looks to have developed into a legit starter, and they still have a young prospect, Thatcher Demko, right behind him. The Canucks are set up very nicely for youth and just need to surround them with a solid group of veterans. The highest they have ever selected was number 2 6 separate times, which includes Canucks legend Trevor Linden, and then of course in 1999 with Daniel and Henrik Sedin going at number 2 and number 3. Like the Vancouver Canucks, out of these 4 teams, the Carolina Hurricanes are almost a mirror image of the Canucks. Lots of youth that have developed around their offensive lineup, and one of the best young defenses in the Eastern Conference that has been built via the draft and trades. The only question mark for me regarding the Hurricanes is still goaltending and who is going to be that guy long term, but as far as the rest of the lineup goes, they are a young team that shouldn't change too much in the next 2 years. The highest they have ever drafted is number 2, and both players have turned up pretty well for them: Eric Staal in 2003 and Andrei Svechnikov in 2018. Now we're down to 3. The Sharks have to be the next team to go here. Although this year they were one of the worst teams in the NHL due to injuries, the way this team was built the past couple of years, they were meant to be in win now mode. They have superstars up front with a mix of some youth and one of the best top 2 pairs in the league, if one of them could stay healthy and play to the contract that he was dealt. Martin Jones in net is still a question mark going forward to see if he really is the guy to go with, but things have not gone as planned at all for the Sharks. At the time of the Karlsson deal, it seemed like a sweet deal. Now, not so much. They definitely could use a number 1 overall pick, but I don't think they need it as badly as one of the other 2. Their highest selection was number 2 overall, with Patrick Marleau being the most well-known in the 1997 draft. Which leaves us with the Ducks and the Wild. The glory days of the Anaheim Ducks are over as a new group of players look to transition into a more youthful group. With Perry gone and Getzlaf on his last legs, the Ducks have to look to see who is going to be that next player to step up. Is it Rickard Rakell? Jacob Silfverberg? Adam Henrique? Another prospect perhaps? The good news for the Ducks is that their top 3 defensemen are signed long term, and they have an elite starting goaltender in John Gibson to get them through these tough times. But for the Wild, They are the definition of mediocrity in the NHL. When they're bad, they're not the worst team in the NHL. But when they're good, they're nowhere close to being the best. They always seem to be trapped in no man's land in the standings year after year, and if they do manage to sneak into the playoffs, out in round 1 or 2. They are trapped behind 2 horrible long-term contracts and a bunch of middle younger players whom they are hoping they pan out. Their defense is solid, I'll give them that, and Devan Dubnyk has his flashes of brilliance, but it seems hard for me to imagine what Wild fans are excited about for this team. As far as I know, the only thing they are hoping for is the guy they drafted finally decides to sign with them after playing multiple years in the KHL. The Wild need a number 1 overall pick more than the Ducks, so that's why in my opinion, I believe that the Minnesota Wild are the one team in the NHL who has never selected first overall, needs this draft pick the most, to hopefully push them out of mediocrity and become a team to be feared in the playoffs. As for each team's highest pick, the Ducks picked number 2 3 times, which included Bobby Ryan, Steve Ruchin, and Oleg Tverdovsky, and the Wild picked number 3 in the 2000 draft, where they selected Marian Gaborik. So that'll do it for this video, guys. Leave your thoughts down below to whom you believe should be the team that deserves a number 1 overall selection the most. I personally think the Minnesota Wild, but I can't wait to hear what you guys think as well. Thanks for watching BJK Hockey Facts, and I'll catch you guys next time.